back, the defendant flipped out. She's suing for $3,000, the amount she's owed for unused rent, security, and pain and suffering. This is the defendant, Sharon Lee Huntley. She says the plaintiff was in desperate need of a place to live because her boyfriend was abusing her and she wanted to get away from him. Then she called and said she found another place to live, demanded her money back, and even chased her for 5 miles. That's when she called the cops and decided to let the courts handle it because there's definitely something wrong with the plaintiff. She's accused of being paranoid. The defendant is filing a countersuit for $3,000, the amount owed for breaking a lease.
Then I guess I have it for you, Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. Peggy Davis.
Yes.
You are suing Sharon Lee Huntley for $1,200 in rent and security deposit that you gave to her 6 years ago.
Yes.
You amended the claim a couple minutes ago.
Yes, ma'am.
To $3,000. That would be $600 for pain and suffering, $1,200 in interest.
Yes.
And $1,200 in
For
actual damages.
Yes.
Okay. You are counterclaiming against her $3,000 for breaking the lease 6 years ago. Okay, what's going on?
Well, I was in a relationship with a gentleman for about 5 years, and he got to the point where I caught him cheating, and he wanted to more or less push me. So it was going into like a arguing match. I said, it's time for me to move. So I go get a Sunday's Dispatch, and here went Miss Huntley's ad in the paper. It says $600 rent, $600 security deposit. So I calls her up. She says, yes, come on over and check out the house. I'm moving out of town. I'm getting married, and boom, boom. I goes over to her house. Me and my daughter, we does a walkthrough through the home. She's talking to me. We're talking about everything. I told her about the situation I had with my boyfriend. I'm trying to move. She also told me she had been beat up in an abusive relationship with a man in which she had to shoot or something. Something to the effect. That's what she said. But anyway, Your Honor, we went through a walkthrough. My daughter also informed me when I went through one of the bedrooms. She said, Mom, there's bullet holes in the walls. So I looked and I said, well, they patched up.
I can see why you signed a lease.
Well, so she said, come back the next day. I had the lease ready and the key and all that. Now, as I was speaking to her about the lease, there's a gentleman in her house doing her kitchen floor. She told me
a gentleman in her house doing
he's doing her floor.
He's doing her floor.
Yes, he's doing her floor.
I thought you said going on. Okay, go on.
But she tells me that she's not going to pay because he's not doing it right. So right then was the red flag for me. When you're telling me you're not going to pay a man
The bullet holes were not a red flag for you?
Yes. So as soon as I handed her the $1,200, she handed me the lease. I signed the lease. As soon as I got done with the lease, she goes, oh, by the way, there's someone I want you to meet. So the lady comes in the door with a couple of little kids, and I said hi, and she goes, she's going to come by once a month and do a walkthrough. Now I said, right at the back, I said, excuse me? I said, oh, no. I guess she wanted me to do a walkthrough because she was moving and didn't have enough room to take all her belongings out the house. So me and her talked, and I told her, yes, I'll store your stuff for free. Her stuff was going in the basement. I was going to still pay her $600 a month rent. While I'm storing her stuff, I said about 90 days, she said she would be back from out of town to get her stuff. Okay. I didn't have no problem, so I guess the walkthrough came in.
She just wanted to check her property, but in any event, you didn't like that, and so what did you say?
When they're late about the walk, and I told her no, because see, when I was 15, I went through a thing where a gentleman came in the home, and I stayed with my 2 sisters for a rapist. I don't want no walk-ins on me. So right then, when she said that, I'm like, no. You know, I don't need no walking. It's just me by myself would be living here. I didn't want that, period. That's something I feel she could have discussed with me before I signed it.
What did she say? So right there on the spot.
As soon as I got done.
And you said to her, that's not going to work.
Oh, no. Straight off the rip. Oh, no. I said, you never discussed this with me before I signed this lease. I said, let me have my money back. She goes, well, I'm only going to give you $600 because you signed the lease. And I said, no. You came up with something different after I just signed the lease. And she said, well, I'm not going to give you nothing. Take me to court. So that's what I did.
But it was 6 years later when you had that happen.
No. I kept trying to find her. She wouldn't answer for the bailiffs. They said we can't contact her.
What ended up happening recently? And then all of a sudden now there's a case. What happened recently?
Actually, Honestly, Your Honor, for a whole year, I went over here to her street and stood on her street in the cold, standing trying to find her. She wouldn't come home. I just told my daughter.
6 years later.
Yes, I just told my daughter, I said, you know that lady I gave that money to that took my money? I'm going downtown again and check on her again.
And lo and behold, the same morning you talked about it, you saw
Soon
it.
as we left out an hour later, here she comes sitting in front of me.
Driving.
Yes.
Just a sheer coincidence. You recognize the back of her head.
God delivered her right there that day. Told my daughter,
Do you understand how unbelievable that sounds? That you would recognize the back of somebody's head?
This is just what happened. She was right there in front. Now look, my daughter said, Mom, are you sure that's that witch? I mean, a woman. And I said, yes, that's her license plate.
How did you know her license plate?
I still remember her license plate.
Was she out of the car at some point when you spotted her?
No.
She was a passenger or the driver?
She's the driver and she had a passenger. Okay. Nice looking lady with salt and pepper hair.
Okay, so go on.
She sees us behind us after about 3 or 4 minutes. So she goes in the gas station. The lady gets out to go in and get hot dogs and drinks or something. And I told my daughter, I said, park your car right behind hers. But
Like
no.
she knew you were blocking her in?
Oh, I got out the car. And I went up to her door, and she's already bleeding down like she's going after a gun. Well, I didn't care about that. I said, I'm calling the police on you right now to get your information for us to come to court about my money. And she goes, she didn't say anything then. I didn't either. I went back to the car and called the police in my daughter's car. So her lady comes out in her car, and she tells her lady to go and tell the manager to ask me to move from behind her. And the manager did come to me, and he said, ma'am, this lady wants you to move from behind her. I said, sir, this is a court matter of me giving her $1,200 in 2005, and she ran off. He said, ma'am, I will call the police as well. Right then, she started boogieing on out of there, you know. So we pull up, and behind, I see McDonald's, and she's turning that way to me. I said, oh, she's going to Mickey D's. Maybe she's going to stop and sit down. We're going to talk about this over a burger. And she pulls in the back of McDonald's, in the back of the pharmacy.
So the police never came?
No, ma'am.
So how did you get service on her now for a lawsuit?
I went downtown.
You had her license plate, you
I
had an
went
address, and
downtown,
that's
and I think they caught her.
Talk to me about what happened in 2005.
Okay. I had gotten a job in New Jersey, and I put in an ad in the Dispatch to rent my home. Now I got Miss Davis's call, who stated she was in destitute need for a place to stay because her boyfriend was abusing her. I told her to come over.
I gotta meet the boyfriend that would abuse her.
Thank you.
I mean, that's one brave man, is all I can say.
I told her to come over, and when she came over to fill out the application, we did a walkthrough of the house. In the holes that she's talking about, I explained to her that the winterization program had come and done insulation and put the holes in the walls to install the installation.
The installation, so they're not gunshot?
Not at all.
Okay, go on.
I told her to come over, fill out the application, and you have a copy of the application.
Okay. It is expressly agreed and understood by applicant and co-applicant that 1 month deposit shall be considered a prepayment of the first month's rent and shall be applied by the landlord as liquidated damages in the event that you fail to take possession. So she fills out the application, and then there's a lease that's filled out on 10/8.
Right.
All right. She doesn't deny that she signed the lease. Okay. And then she hands you the money, she signs the lease, and then what happens?
Wait a minute, she didn't hand me the money first. What happened, she bought her daughter a huge dog and her daughter and 3 kids with her. When they went upstairs, I could hear her telling her daughter there was something she could do to the room for the kids. That threw up a red flag for me.
Everybody's got red flags, but they decided to leave anyway. Okay, go on.
And I said, well, I'm going to be some 600 miles away, and I'm going to have someone inspect the house.
So the order is, you warn her about the inspection.
Mm-hmm.
She says no. Right?
She said, oh, hell no, I'm not going to have
hell
anybody
no.
checking up on me.
And then after that, she goes ahead and signs the lease anyway? Why does she do that? Or she said, hell no.
She said that she needed a place to stay and that she was going to take care of the house.
Okay, so she signs the lease, she gives you the money, and when do you say she pulls out?
She calls me on the 10th.
And so she calls you on the 10th and says what?
I'm not going to move in. I want my money, and I'm coming up to get it.
In your answer to the complaint, you say that she found another place and she just changed her mind.
That's what she told me. She found somewhere else. and she wanted her money.
Okay, but you know that the rental application says if she doesn't take possession, your liquidated damages are $600.
Right.
So why would you ever be entitled to the other $600?
Her son tore my gate off.
That's the first time I've heard this.
Yeah.
First time I've heard.
And welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Can a landlord demand the right to inspect the tenant's apartment, say, once a month?
No, if I have kids, I have underwear around the house, I have things that are private to me, I need to know what's going on.
Fair enough. What do you think?
I think if the landlord has a reason to suspect something bad is going on in the apartment, then they definitely have a right.
What if he doesn't even suspect anything bad? He just says, I want to make sure my place doesn't get trashed. And he wants to inspect it once a month to make sure.
I can see both sides of it, really.
Okay, but if you had to choose one or the other, what would you choose?
I don't think they should.
The landlord shouldn't do it.
No.
Spoken like a true tenant. Going inside the courtroom.
Why would you even have this in here, limiting your damages to $600? That you have this in here. I didn't write this.
That was the application.
Well, I know, it's the one you picked.
Okay.
All right. And you have a counterclaim against her for $3,000 for what?
Her son came over and was disruptive, threatening, calling me all kind of names.
In your counterclaim, what you say is it's the amount for breaking the lease. Is that what you're suing for the $3,000?
I also was writing in the statement damages and suffering.
Do you have pictures of
because
damages?
I left to be at work on the 17th.
Yes or no
on the
to my question. You
22nd.
have pictures of damages that you want to collect $3,000. It's something.
I don't have.
I know a lot of
I
times
have a
passed,
police
but
report.
the truth
I
is
have the
that
police
she, by the
report.
hair of her chinny chin chin, she made it on the statute of limitations on the security deposit. On the actual rent, she has 15 years, which is the longest statute of limitations I have ever heard of in my entire life in the state of Ohio. I don't get it. I think it's weird to wait 6 years. I think it's odd that she spots you from the back of the head. I don't get that whole
that's
thing.
not the way it
What happened at that? What
That's
happened?
not what happened.
How did it happen that she spotted you? Put your hand down.
I was at a gas station with my sister. She was inside the store. This lady appeared at my window and said, "Remember me? I'm Peggy Davis. That you took my $1,200 and ran." When my sister came out, she said, "What's going on?" I said, "Go in there and tell the manager to come out and tell this lady to move her car from in back of my car." The manager came out and he said, "You can't block anybody in on this lot." So a guy in a truck beside the vacant spot told me, he said, "Ma'am, you got enough room to back up." Well, I did. And she followed me.
Was there a McDonald's you went to?
There was a McDonald's lot.
So how did this all end up?
I just rode around the block until she got tired of following me, and I took my sister home.
Either way, look, she's within the statute of limitations, so I have to call what it is that happened here. Number one, you sign a lease and your premises judge. After I sign the lease, she adds an element that she has no right to add. And that is why she's breaching, I'm justified in pulling out, and I should get all my money back, right? I understand you. And then your premise is, oh, I told her that beforehand. I'm gonna go with you, and I'm just gonna assume she did it for the purposes of this legal discussion. And that after you signed a lease and after you gave her your money, she looked you in the eye and said, according to her statement, it's every other month, but you say it's every month. Every month, I'm gonna inspect my house. For you to win all of that money back and have a right to rescind the contract, that has to be something that she doesn't have any right to do. You have to be able to say, I'm renting it for a year, sayonara, see you in a year, okay? But that's not the law. The law is actually that a tenant cannot withhold reasonable inspection by a landlord. And so the question becomes, would that be reasonable inspection? I don't think it's that unreasonable. When you're going in to see it with a dog and 3 kids, because she doesn't know you. She doesn't know if you're going to trash the place. She doesn't have any idea. It is not unreasonable in the eyes of the law. So then, if that's the case, it doesn't give you a right to back out. Now, when I say that, you're telling me I get to keep all of it because she breached. But you're the one who hands me a rental application wherein you know what liquidated damages means?
Yes.
Liquidated damages means that we are predetermining, the two of us, that if X, then I only get $600. Now, the odd part is if this wasn't here, you would have an argument to make that, hey, it took me 3 months to get somebody, so I should keep the 2 months. But because you put this in here, you have liquidated your own damages. And in it says that you're only entitled to keep $600. So you would never have the right to keep the other $600 based on this. We're done. $600, verdict for the plaintiff. On your counterclaim against her because of the reasons I just said, 0.
Well, the plaintiff did not get everything she sued for. She got half. And the defendant comes out here. Step in a little bit more if you can and tell me what you think of the outcome here. As you
I'm
come out.
satisfied with it. I got rid of her.
Okay. Take your time. Head right around the corner
Thank
this
you.
way where your documents are waiting for you. All right, so you didn't get everything you sued for. You satisfied with what you come out of this case with?
Yes, because she just lied all over TV, and she got to live with that. She lied. Now she has a cane, and she wanted to have a gun the other day. So
Does that look
that's
like
a front. That's a front.
For what?
Just to be
In
on
front of-
TV.
That
Yeah.
woman's gonna have a shootout? That woman right
Yes, that's just a front. She don't need a cane. She needs a gun. That's what she thought.
there? All right. Okay, Harvey.
So short story here, the landlord does have a right to do a reasonable inspection of the property from time to time, even if that's not in the lease. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.